Welcome to the Influence Factory podcast. This program is dedicated to support professionals who have a desire to develop their digital business influence so they can navigate through a fast-paced, constantly growing digital world. We invite newcomers as well as our family of business influencers to a place to play, share ideas, questions, tips, and guidance with other thought leaders around the globe. Sit back and enjoy our program with your host, Dean Delisle, as he interviews guests. News and commentary are provided by Jackson Delisle and Monica Hacker. Power Move lessons are provided by the Influencer Marketing Department at Social Jack. And production, editing, and distribution is provided by the Social Jack production team.
All right, today's show is brought to you by Planable. Planable.io gives your social media team everything they need to really move their creative process forward. It allows you to preview social media posts as they are live, real time. No more screenshots, mock-ups, spreadsheets. Your clients can review content from within the platform. And do you have anything to say about it, Monica?
It's a great platform. We've been using it now for a month. I love it. It's a game changer in the content world. I highly suggest it.
Yeah, go to Planable, planable.io to start your free trial today. All right, this week's Influence Factory guest is none other than my good friend, Travis Lubinsky, and he is known as TRAV, and he is the founder of Flex Watches. He's an e-commerce and product specialist with 10 plus years of experience. He's sold tens of millions of dollars in products directly to consumers, acquired hundreds of thousands of paying customers. He's also created licensed products and executed marketing campaigns for some of the biggest brands in the world, such as Disney, Star Wars, WWE, and Minions, one of my favorites. So Trav, welcome to the Influence Factory.
Hey, Dean, thanks for having me.
Good. And you're not in Beverly Hills today, but you're in San Diego, which is sort of close. I've made the drive. So how was it coming down?
That's good. It was a couple hours, but nice drive down the coast.
Did you come down this morning or last night?
I came down yesterday. Actually,
Okay.
had a speaking engagement down here last night.
Right on, right on. So did you hear that? Trav is also open to speaking gigs. So make sure you get a hold of his agent.
Just ask Dean. He can text me.
And there you go. So I haven't seen you since we did the show together in LA. And what was fascinating is I had you in because I had heard your story I think about a year or so ago at one of the board meetings there at Holonis. And then I heard you in LA tell it. And it really all started from the dorm room, right, at college?
Yeah. I actually started a screen printing company when I was in college. So I went to school down here at San Diego State University. And I quickly realized that there wasn't a place to design and manufacture cool Greek apparel. So I started my own printing company, and me and a friend started printing shirts and drying them in the kitchen for our fraternity. And that quickly expanded into us creating an entire company around it and getting licenses and doing all sorts of fun things in the printing space.
Yeah. So what had you, what sparked that idea? Just needing money, or where did the idea come from?
I just had a passion for being in fashion and wanted to create a brand since I was a little kid. And I think this was like a stepping stone for me. And I saw it as an opportunity to create apparel for something that I was going to be part of. So it was my fraternity. And I personally didn't like the clothing. So I wanted to design cooler clothing. And once I did that, I went through the process and realized that there really wasn't a reliable and affordable place around the college area. And it was a big need. So that's when the entrepreneur in me decided, you know what, there's an actual business here. And let me go door to door and ask all these fraternities and sororities if they want shirts too. And so I just pre-designed everything and brought it to them and said, hey, if we made you these shirts, would you buy them? And I came in with a competitive price and a good design. And it, one thing led to another, and it turned into a 10-year business for me.
So right now, today, you're known as a digital guy, but yet you went door to door back then. That's pretty cool. I mean, if you think about it, you did it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, I did that door to door. And then even when I started the watch company, which we'll get into later, we were in retail, and I was doing the same thing, just going to trade shows, doing grassroots marketing and trying to get our product in front of people who could make a decision to buy it, whether that was the T-shirt chair for the sorority or the buyer for Nordstrom's. I still had to go door to door and hit the pavement and make sales. And it's a lot different than it is now, for sure.
Yeah. So with with the shirts, did it grow into anything beyond the university and doing it for sororities and fraternities?
Yeah, I started working with local businesses. And then as we graduated, a lot of my friends started working at different places in the corporate world. So I started getting some contracts. And then again, my passion was for artists and influencers and celebrities. So I started doing artist merchandise. And I picked up a couple clients that are pretty well known, like Paris Hilton. And I started working on their merch, and it just kind of spread. So I started doing artist merch, and that's what actually got me to go overseas and start finding products to bring in, because I would go find, say, a hat or sunglasses for Paris Hilton, and I would order thousands of them and then bring them into the States and store them in my warehouse and ship them for them. So it was before drop shipping. I was the guy who was holding the product and drop shipping for them, right? So that kind of opened up that world to me of not only just printing t-shirts, but then manufacturing products overseas and importing them and fulfilling orders to customers.
All right. Now, come on. You don't just get Paris Hilton. Tell us a little bit how you got to Paris Hilton to get Paris Hilton.
So one of my friends ended up going into the entertainment industry, and he became her manager. So it's all about who you know.
Thanks, Travis. I just had to tee that up.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it sparked, it sparked a lot. But I said it then as a young kid, and I say it now, your network is your net worth, right? So it's all about who you know. I definitely delivered superior product. It's all about who you know. I definitely gave good product at quality price points, but I had the in, right? So I was able to go into these rooms and actually show these people. And I heard a lot of no's, but just you only need a couple of yeses, and then you're off to the races.
Yeah, that's interesting. And it's always funny. I mean, you've probably broken the record in terms of the fastest somebody said that. So at an early age, you realized the power of your network in somebody that you knew that was a manager of Paris Hilton. Was that something that you grew up with your whole life? Is that something your parents taught you? Because I mean, that isn't usually something that you automatically have.
It actually just happened somewhat naturally when I was in college, and I started realizing that since I was friends with the people that were in the fraternities or sororities, or I was friends with the person who had the job that ordered the t-shirts, that I could go pitch anyone, but there was a lot of people out there that did screen printing. So unless they really wanted to do you a solid, they didn't have to switch their production. So I was looking for people who were already spending thousands and thousands of dollars on printing. And I realized that they weren't just going to give me the business because I was young and we were a new company. So I had no choice, and I had to go to people that I knew. And then that eventually made me realize that all these people in my network are telling other people, and word of mouth spread. This is before Facebook, right? So this is just like, hey, yeah, this guy made my shirts over there. And then all of a sudden it's a friend referral. And as soon as that started happening, and then we started with Facebook, I realized that I could have my friends share my content on social media, and then they could bring in their network. So I started commissioning my friends, and I was like, hey, what can you get? And so we started making little Facebook groups and pages, and everyone just started basically connecting with one another. And you were being marketed to connect, right? With Facebook, connect with everyone. And I just kind of picked up on it and was like, all right, cool. I'm going to build not only my personal business professional network, but I'm going to build my social network, right? So I've been doing that same thing I look back, it's been 15 years,
Yeah. So with that being said, is this the part where you got into licensing too?
Yeah. So when I was doing the Greek printing, I ended up actually getting a knock on my door from the Greek licensing committee and found out that you had to license the logo. So I didn't really know that you had to have a license to print someone's logo on a t-shirt, as crazy as that sounds, but I was young and naive. And that's when I got legit. So that's when I got my first license, which was the Greek license. And then I went on and got collegiate licenses. And then I started doing artists. And I was like, let me do everything. Let me design, manufacture, sell, and ship the product for you, and I'll just pay you a royalty. So I had that concept in my head, which you look at my brands today, we got Star Wars licensed, Minions licensed. So it's been a big part of my DNA, and it's really helped me like reach new audiences and sell to people who want it. Because the bottom line is a t-shirt with some bright colors on it and a picture of a wave or a sunset isn't going to sell like that same picture with some alpha phi letters. So now all of a sudden there's millions of alpha phis that want that shirt, right? So I caught on to that, and I've leveraged licensing and other people's intellectual property.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then where did you take things from there? So what happened, next was, did it grow into a little bit of an empire? Did you sell it off? What happened next?
Yeah. So I started doing a lot of sourcing and bringing products in overseas. And I'd already kind of built that pipeline or that supply chain. And a friend of mine came to me and said, let's start a watch company. And that's really when I jumped at that opportunity to source the Flex watch and become the co-founder of Flex Watches. And my team kind of turned into that. My office turned into that. And each color represents a different charity that we partner with to give back 10%. So we immediately started going to different charities and doing licensing agreements with them where we would donate instead of pay a royalty. So it kind of all evolved, but I kept that business running, and I did merch for artists and celebrities. And to this day, actually, I sold off all my equipment and shut down the business itself. But to this day, I still have that client list, and I still have a large network of manufacturers and some clients I do referral work with. It's just because it's not worth my time anymore. But it's still nice to have someone call you with an order and then refer it to a printer, because those printers in my network love it. And they're like, oh, we just need work, right? Because they have the machines, they have the warehouse. And so I quickly realized that I didn't want to be in a warehouse in 100-degree weather, 12 hours a day, and it took me a long time to get out of that, but I did that for 6 or 7 years. Then we started Flex, and then I kind of got a name for myself, and I was able to kind of step away from that. And that's when I closed down the warehouse and I started outsourcing to 3PLs so I could have third-party fulfillment and customer service and get out of the warehouse. And then I moved to LA to pursue influencer marketing and work with celebrities.
That's cool. So on the watch itself, it had different colored bands, right? So different colored bands that represented the charities.
Yeah, I'll show you right here. So the watches are interchangeable, and each color represents a different charity. So like black is hunger, red is arts. So this is a hunger and arts watch. But
got it. Okay.
We evolved it from just the plain colors to printed. So now we have, if you go on flexwatches.com, you'll see that there are specific patterns that represent each charity, not just colors now. Autism, for instance, is puzzle pieces, breast cancer, little ribbons, because those communities really wanted it. And in the beginning, it was more of a fashion accessory. It was all just about interchangeable watches that match and do good. And as time went on, I realized that there were communities of people like the autism community who were very supportive, and they wanted to wear their pattern. And when we started doing that, it actually started working more because it was a conversation piece. So now if you walk in with a bright yellow and blue puzzle piece watch, people are like, oh, what's up with that watch? As opposed to just a yellow watch, So we've continued to evolve the patterns, and we started putting them, we made those patterns for the watches, but now we started putting them on all sorts of stuff that give back. And we've kind of created our own charity patterns. Wow,
that's super cool. That's super cool. And then was it just by accident that didn't you discover by accident that you're watching a music video and Justin Bieber was wearing one of your watches?
Definitely wasn't an accident.
Wasn't? Okay.
After right when I moved to LA, I became friends and partnered with a guy named Tyga. He's a music artist. And Tyga had a brand called Last Kings. So we did a collaboration, and he saw the different things I'd done in the past. And I was like, let's put your logo on my watch face. The same way, even now this is a Star Wars watch, right? That's Darth Vader. But in the same capacity, we had the Pharaoh for his brand was Last Kings. And in the first week of the watches coming, we basically decided that we wanted to start marketing them. And he ended up having a song with Justin Bieber, and they were shooting a music video the day the samples were arriving. So literally they landed at my house at 9 a.m. and I drove an hour and the call time was at 11. So I literally had an hour before that. And I just showed up on set with the watches, and the song was called Wait for a Minute. So it was like,
oh my God,
all around time.
Yeah.
And in the storyboard from the director, it said, use a watch to freeze time as a prop. So I was like, yo, this has to be the watch. And I just told Bieber and I told Tyga, I was like, this has to be the watch. 150 million views later, it was the watch.
But he didn't say flex watch, right?
No, it did. It did. If you Google Wait for a Minute, the music video, in the opening scene, everyone's moving, and then he lifts his hand up and it's straight up close up Flex logo right there. And he goes,
wow.
Boom. And it's pretty incredible. I saw them shoot it, but when I saw the music video, my heart dropped to the floor. I was like,
I bet.
oh. And I was just refreshing. 1 million views, 2 million views, 5 million views. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. By the time I checked my website, we were sold out. You know, I was just like, oh man,
that's awesome.
I had more money to buy more watches at that time. You know?
Right. So then, so that's an amazing opportunity. So then where did you take it from there?
I really learned through starting Flex Watches and getting exposure through like reality TV and with influencers that it was all about creating those like lightning in a bottle moments where we can, I call it ABCD, but we can attract new customers, build our brand, connect with consumers, and drive traffic. Yeah. So I've been really focused on like that element, not just a viral video that's funny, not just like ending up on a TV show, but I've really worked to integrate myself and my products as storylines, like organically into these various different things that I've done. And whether that be MTV's Real World or CNBC The Profit, those were obviously huge integrations on national television with millions of eyeballs on them. So the effects of those they do all ABCD and they drive a lot of traffic. So that's kind of like the game for me at the top of the funnel, but where I became an expert is capturing data, capturing emails, bringing these people back to the website to purchase. And I understood that if someone saw a viral video, that doesn't mean they're going to buy. But if someone saw a viral video and then they got reminded and then they got offered a product and a discount and then they got reminded about the discount, eventually, if you hit them over the head enough times, they'll buy. So I had these moments where I was like, whoa, we got 1 million visitors, but you know, we only had a couple thousand people order. How do we get these other 998,000 people back, right? So email marketing, that was number one. It still is like 25% of all my sales for e-commerce for every site. But I just really learned, like, once we get customers' information or get someone to the site, we want to offer them something to get their email. Pretty obvious. And then we put them into email blasts 2 to 3 times a week, and then automation flows based on the action they took. So what I mean by that is if they saw the video or if they clicked on the video and went to a link, and if they viewed a page or they viewed a product or they bought a product, it's all different, right? So we have these one-to-one conversations with people, which I know you understand, but I didn't. And so we were just kind of like, oh, what should this email say? Okay, hey, you forgot this in your cart, you know, and just like kind of trying to figure it out. These days, you could literally Google welcome series, abandoned cart flow, post-purchase, win back, loyalty, all the different flows. And there's subject lines and all sorts of recommended stuff. But then it was just like, hey, we got a bunch of emails. Like, how can we automate this so that we don't have to keep sending these email blasts? And it turned into its own thing where email blasts were us just broadcasting our brand and giving out offers and products. And automation was more of the like selling down the middle and lower funnel, bringing them back.
Yeah. So do you have any favorite tools that you use, you know, as part of that automation? Like I know sometimes it's like, well, for this product, we'll use this kind of funnel system. And for this, we'll use this marketing automation. Any thoughts on what you found that works best out there for you?
Yeah, currently for email automation, Klaviyo. It's a nice, robust platform. It's good for CRM. It's also just good for regular email marketing as well as automation. So it integrates nicely with all platforms, Shopify, ClickFunnels, Holonis, all those things. So it's definitely important.
You said Klaviyo?
Yeah, Klaviyo.
Okay. We'll put that in the show notes, folks, so you don't have to worry about that right now. And then just real quick, because I think, because what I like is how you leverage your network and all of your connections, and you're opportunistic, but you were a true entrepreneur in that you didn't give up. You kept going at it in different ways, and you kept making sure that wherever you were at, people knew what you were doing. And I think half the world forgets, like, it's okay to talk about what you do. I know it drives my wife crazy sometimes because it's like, man, you're always talking business. And no, I'm excited about what we do. We change lives. We create influencers. We help people get to that next part of themselves that they're afraid to go to. And we get excited about it, and I want to talk about it. So I appreciate that about you, because I think too many times people tend to hold the best parts of what they're doing in their story back. Do you agree with that?
Totally. Yeah. And I think it's super important to be vocal about it and manifest what you want to happen and, live your business and speak about it. Yeah. And another point to that is just like, for me, it's just about doing something. It's like ideation, do it. There's no in between. Just do it. Like all these people, there's so much wasted time talking about things and planning. It's like, cool, just start and you'll figure out what you need, and that's been my whole motto is like, let's just do it. It's like the amount of effort, energy, time, thinking that you put into these things that may never happen. It's like, let's just test it. Let's just throw some few bucks at it and see if it works. Whether that's literally $10 at a Facebook ad, you know what I mean? Let's just see if it works. And that's also caused me to have a lot of failures, but they're quick, and I just learn quick and I just move on. And that's why I went from, designing shirts to printing shirts to sourcing product to starting my own brand to marketing in retail stores and going to trade shows to building websites and going on TV to working with influencers. It was never easy. It was always like a shot in the dark. And now when you look back, people are like, oh, you worked with Justin Bieber and you had YouTube videos and you worked with Logan Paul and he blew up on Instagram. It's like, yeah, but I was working with Tyga before Kylie Jenner, before he dated her. And I was working with these kids before Instagram. You know what I mean? So when they had 30, 40, 50,000 followers on Instagram that were engaged, 100, 200,000 followers, it was like they post, we make thousands of dollars. Today, they have millions of followers and it's not the same game. Yeah. So it's interesting because I got in at the right time when it wasn't ever like the thing. I was drop shipping when I was 25 years old out of a warehouse in San Diego. And now you can't get away from building your personal brand and drop shipping. It's like, yeah, literally been talking about my network, been putting myself out there front and center in all the businesses and building my personal brand and attaching it to that, which has ultimately allowed me to just attach me to different things. And if those things fail, I'm still there. I still go on. The show still rolls on, so.
You're still the constant in all of that.
Yeah, it never stops,
Yeah. So in that, with, sort of with the influencer marketing space, and you're in the midst of a lot of mega and macro influencers as well. What would you want to say to people out there that are just starting out? Because, everybody starts somewhere, like what you just mentioned, and you have, you have nanos and micros now that are looking for that next piece of themselves. And the game has sort of changed in terms of the algorithms and everything else. So can you walk us through, as if you're advising or coaching us about, I have this great thing that I want to be this, and I want to take this to market. What would you say to those people?
Number one, know who you are, know who you want to be. You got to choose one thing. I'm like a million things, but I'm the founder of Flex Watches because it's easy, it's tangible. You can attach it to it. Go to the Instagram and see it. I don't talk about being an author, a speaker, tech consultant. I don't, it's just part of it, and it's assumed. And obviously I own that whole product and e-commerce expert because I worked in products and e-commerce. So you tie those things back to the brand, and then you have consistency And then you actually have to be consistent. You have to have a consistent voice. You have to create consistent content. You have to post it consistently. You can't just be uni-platform. You have to be on all platforms. You can't just be on YouTube. You have to put your video everywhere. And I think that's what people are missing. And you look at, say, Gary Vee, he's hitting people over the head with it right now. It's like, join TikTok, join TikTok, join TikTok. And there's a reason for that. It's because there's a captive audience of hundreds of millions of kids on TikTok. So of course, like, join TikTok if you want to be an influencer. That's where you're going to blow up next. No one is blowing up on Instagram tonight, tomorrow, next year. It's not going to happen. The more brands are willing to pay the platforms, the higher the CPMs are going to go, and the more expensive it's going to be to reach people. So they're going to want you, even if you are an influencer working with a brand, to do a branded handshake or partnership, and they're going to restrict your reach so that the brand pays. And you have to align yourself with a brand that has the same ethos and the same story as you, so that it feels authentic, organic, it's consistent. And if you're working with a brand, now you want them, and here's a little hack, don't tell anyone I told you this, but you want the brand to spend the money to get you the visibility. So what you want to do is create good content and align with the brand so that they're tagging you and they're posting you and you're giving their community something. And that's honestly the game for a lot of these macros now. The macro influencers are just trying to get the brands to put budget behind their Facebook and their Instagram pages so that they can get visibility for their ads. And what that does is tell the algorithm, hey, this influencer, this creator is pushing content through their page because someone else is paying for it. And then the rest of your content travels, which allows you to go to these brands and sell them, say, look how much engagement I'm getting, right? So that's the hack for the macros. The micros, it's just, honestly, it's about being ubiquitous and being everywhere and having your whole story and line in line. And so that, again, if you join TikTok or you see them on Twitter or you're on Instagram, it's consistent and it's not just like, I wonder what this person does. It's like, just make it super straightforward.
Well, hold on. Yeah, I'm going to have you pause right there, because we have so many people, and I think people need to hear this and be hit over the head with it. But, the day of the bots and the automation stuff and go follow, unfollow, and all this, that had gone on for years and years, and fake followers and pumping up these numbers and things like that. It's pretty much gone. I mean, and you have to put the time in. You have to invest in your business. And a lot of time that is you, or you and a team member, or you and a partner like Social Jack or us, to go in there with you and help. You're building a community. You need to be with that community and talk to them, as if you've built this community center and you're inviting people to participate, like the YMCA, it's like you're building a membership group, right?
It's called social media. Like, you're supposed to interact and engage and respond to comments. And like, you can't fake the funk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's way better to have a concentrated group of followers who know who you are and engage with you than all these bots and fake stuff. Because at the end of the day, down the line, it's not going to produce an ROI for you. So those vanity metrics are ruining the platforms, which is why they're all leaning towards taking away likes and like not showing it, because people are creating inauthentic content to make themselves look a certain way so that they can get likes and followers, when in reality, it just be a cool person and engage, respond to comments, respond to messages, be authentic, put out content. And if you do that consistently, people notice and they want to be in your comments and they want to join the community group or conversation. And if you don't do it, it's just like, it's lazy on your part, and I see people all the time. It's like, they post a picture and then they're gone. It's like, who cares about your photo of you? Like, ask the question, be engaging, at least respond to the comment. I'm guilty of it, but at least I'm there for an hour after I post talking to everyone, And for me, it's like, I don't want more followers that aren't authentic, because I just have random noise to sift through.
Well, it's harder to find the people that really matter, the real people.
Yeah, it's hard to find the real stuff. And that's what leads to the opportunities, you know?
Oh, you have no idea the number of people that knock on our door and say, here's my stuff. Make me famous. I have 20,000 followers. I need to get to 50 and I'll be back. And then we map out this plan of what they're supposed to do and what we're going to do and how we're going to support them on this effort. And then they don't show up. And I'm just like, no, you have to participate. This is your show. This is your audience. You have to be there with us. I can't even say it enough times. I hope you're listening.
Yeah, seriously. And it's like an example would be like, what if you had a podcast and then you didn't show up to speak on the podcast? It's like, what? You have to put in the work to create the content for other people to consume it. And that's another thing. It's like you have to be engaging, but you have to create content that people want to consume. It's not about you. It's not about your 50,000 followers, your 20 to 50. None of that matters. There's no difference between 20 and 50,000. If you have 20,000, you have 3% engagement, or you have 100,000 and you have 1% engagement, who's winning?
Right.
You know? So it's all about having a captive audience. And I think the micros, it's better to fall under 100K now. I'll tell you, I purposely am hovering around where I'm at. I'm at like 70K, not paying money for growth, nothing, because I just want the organic growth. You know, I'm okay with losing 200-300 followers a day and gaining 400 or 500 and just slowly, you know, and people fall off, and that's fine. I don't want people to follow me who aren't going to engage. I actually prefer them to unfollow me because I want more likes per follower count so that my audience gets more reach. Right. So, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, and the brands love that.
Yes, they do. In fact, that's where the nanos are starting to kick in now, even the smaller ones, because they're so intimate and they're so focused and they're so real that, like you said, some of them are getting like 30, 40, 50% engagement, and they have a small audience, but they've got several thousand people out of their 5,000 that are actually participating, you know?
Yeah. No, I work with a girl, I won't name her, but she had about 4 million followers, and she posted about her brand. She started a swimsuit line and posted about it, and she made like 4 sales. I built her whole store and did everything with her, and I was like, wow, like you really can't sell. Well, imagine, right? And imagine somebody with 1,000 followers who actually care about them, and you're like, hey, I need you guys, and they have 20% engagement. And 10% of those 20%, so 2% of their audience buys from them. She just outpaced that influencer with 4 million followers by 5x.
Wow.
ROI. And then you're paying that person with 4 million followers $4,000, and you're paying this other person a few $100. Which one is actually worth it? You know, it's like, it's a no-brainer. There's not enough of them. There's not enough people out there between 1 and 10,000 that are willing to do the work and understand it, because you know why? Because as soon as they do it right, they go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and the brands are like, they're in that like middle range becoming a micro. But like what you're saying, like the real small infant stage, that's friends, family, coworkers. Those are the people engaging with those posts. That's why it's high, because they know them, you know? And so like you have influence on the people that know you, and that's good. So it's not about the numbers at all. Really, it's not.
Yeah, it's just funny. It's almost like you can't say it loud enough or more, you know, frequent enough. And then they're like, okay, I get it. We'll do it. And we coach them, we onboard them, and then we like start, and then we're like, where'd they go? And then they're like, I want to cancel because I said, well, you didn't show up.
Yeah, no, and that's on them. Honestly, it's on them. It's accountability to whether it's your client or your own self. It's like, if it's something that you want to do, then you need to do it. Like,
take ownership of your brand. Take ownership of your brand.
Boom. That's it.
So you've had the like over 500 million YouTube views. If you were gonna, you mentioned about being consistent, being true to yourself. Obviously, build your channels. You want to look good. Any other snippets of advice for people that are spending time producing video and maybe some things to consider or think about?
Yeah, I alluded to it earlier, but that ABCD thing, like I think the most important thing is the connection, the seat. It's obviously great to be like attention grabbing and, putting your brand in front of stuff, but connecting with consumers is number one. I mean, if you don't connect with someone, they're not going to listen to you, right? So whether you're a comedian on a theater stage or whether you're a young entrepreneur with 100 followers trying to start a brand, like connect with people. Otherwise, they don't care. Like you got to get people to care. And in this world, it's so quick. People are so quick to decide, and that's what they're deciding. Do I care or do I not care? If you don't care, you're not spending money. If you care, you'll consider spending money. And once you have someone caring in the consideration phase, then you can pull on their heartstrings and get them to support you. But if you don't connect with them, they're just like, whatever. I don't even remember you.
So give us a little more elementary. When you say connect to you, that means to.
Evoke an emotion out of someone. For me specifically, if I'm selling myself, I'm telling people to do what they love, right?
Yeah.
Like most people want to have a happy life. If I'm selling a Flex watch, buy this watch, feed 5 children. It's direct impact. Buy this watch, support a family with autism, right? So for me, I tell a story and I showcase exactly what it is I'm doing in that video and how I'm either helping an entrepreneur or I'm impacting the community through charity. And so those are where people are like, oh, wow. There's hungry kids in Mexico, and this guy's feeding them every time he sells a watch. I want to help hungry kids in Mexico. How can I do that? Oh, just buy this watch. Join us, right? And they're like, oh, I want to join.
Yeah.
And they click the link, and they're buying a watch, and they're like, why did I just buy this rubber watch? And like sold hundreds of thousands of these things, and people probably look at them on their desk like, what is this thing? This is a rubber watch. But what the emotion was in their head, when they look at it, they don't see this. They see, oh, I gave 5 meals, So I think connecting with consumers on a brand level, and then in the content, like be engaging. You know what I mean? Like I said, evoke emotion, but it can be funny. You can make people laugh. You can make people cry. You can make people think, asking questions. But if you're not doing anything that's going to cause them to stop, think, and connect with it, have a thought about it outside of what you're telling them, then they're not going to draw their own conclusion. And that's what you really need them to do, is like encourage them to think, basically.
Yeah, and I like what you said about we always call it the invitation, but the invitation to join. I think so many people think oh, I need to tell them to go do something. But, you wouldn't walk into a room and tell a room full of people, hey, go to my website, and then walk out. You would start conversations and you would invite them to follow you to this, thing or this cause or whatever it is. And I want people to actually hear what you said in that.
Yeah, and then just to elaborate on that, in another example, imagine walking into a retail store and the person at the cashier comes up to you and says, hey, buy this. Buy now. What? It's like, hey, welcome to the store. Let me know if you need anything. And then a couple minutes later, if you want to try anything on, let me know if you need your size. You're in the dressing room. Is it fitting? Can I get you something? Let me know. By the time you made the purchase, you feel like they're your personal assistant.
Right.
You're literally shaking their hand and grabbing the bag and like, thank you. You're thanking them for the value they just added, for the money that you just spent at 1,000% markup in their store, right? So it's about the experience, and it's about people getting into that sales funnel. Whether it's in real life or online, you can't just go with the buy now. It's like they never once tell you in a store to buy it. They might offer you something, say, oh, did you see this rack? There's discounts over here. You might notice that you're not shopping a lot and that you might be thinking about money. So they're going to say, oh, by the way, come over here. Check out the sales section. So yeah, in my head, it's kind of obvious, but I do realize, because I see people all the time, like, buy now, swipe up. It's like, dude, maybe a swipe up when you're like, hey, I have some valuable information for you and I want you to connect. I just dropped the link below. Just swipe up and check it out. not like swipe up right now to buy this.
Yeah.
And it's hard. And one more piece of that, there is a time and a place when someone showed intent to buy and they're not buying, and you've given them a discount and you've hit all the boxes, you've introduced them to your brand, you've connected with them, and then you're like, I just can't get this person to buy. Okay, well, maybe they need a sense of urgency. Maybe they need to know that this discount's expiring and they have to buy in the next 24 hours. That's urgency. And that's when they're already like mid to lower funnel, which is completely different than like, hey, top of funnel, buy from me, you know?
In your first conversation.
Even the first 2 weeks, like my ads that say that stuff, my email flows, they're weeks down the line. They're like, you know, day 21 to 28, where it's like last week of expiring. And then after a month, I'm not even worried about them. They'll come back on their own, you know, because they've seen it all.
Yeah, that's good. That's cool. And again, I think people can't hear that enough. I always get so much from these conversations because it's like we think so much a lot on this, but I still think people think there's that easy button for success, and they don't know that there's, you know, time and effort and money that go into these things. You know, it's like, come on, we're building businesses here, people. It's not like I actually had somebody that was. That has, you know about the kidfluencers out there, 13 and under, you know, and so they had somebody, and I said, well, this is what our package price is, and no matter who you are, because it's a business. And they go, well, don't you have a price for kids? And I go, they just signed a $40,000 contract. It's not a kid anymore. It's like it's a business, you know.
Yeah, and that it's honestly, to me, it's like probably even more valuable for that kid, right?
Yeah.
So an adult, they kind of know what they know, and they're gonna like do what they do, and their peers are gonna think what they think. But a kid is still so moldable and so impressionable that you can teach them what to do now, and they can influence a generation of kids for the next 5 to 10 decades, depending on science. But you know what I mean? Like we're at that point now where these kids have to do that, because in their future, like if you want to get into a good college and the college wants to have you, and you're going to have other things on your resume than just like, I'm smart.
You're going to have to have a digital brand. Yeah. Well,
and then hopefully maybe.
Yeah. And you're talking to a parent, which is funny because I wasn't generating an influencer with my daughter, but I know very well that over the course of her softball career, we invested over $50,000, and that wasn't even for her to be an influencer or monetize it at that point. You know what I mean? There was hopes of her going to college, and she hung up her cleats and wound up on stage, and she's got a beautiful voice and having fun. But it's like, I'm like, if you're spending that kind of money on sports and things like that, if you do have your kids going out there into the world or into the marketplace, well, no different than yourself. It's an investment. You know, think about it. It's a business that you have to invest somewhere, you know.
Yeah. I mean, look at old Hollywood with all the momagers who are just putting all this money into their kids. I mean, and look at the byproducts of some of those people, you know, Selena Gomez, Justin Bieber. Those kids don't exist without being an influencer. They were influential, whether that's because of Disney. I mean, look at everyone. Jake Paul, he was on Disney. Like, those are Disney kids. Those are like real stars. And their parents put a lot of work into them. A lot of those kids didn't even get to go to school. You know what I mean? They didn't get to even have a normal life. So it's like, you talk about working hard. They worked harder than most adults. And now what are they doing? They're chilling. They're worth, 9-10 figures. It's like, whoa, they're definitely, and everyone wants to now do what they're doing. Like, oh, I want to blow up my kid on YouTube. It's like, well, you're like 10 years too late. You know what I mean? So, I see it now, you know? I still see it to this day with people who already have an influence, and they're like, I want to start selling merch. And it's like, did you not know that the merch wave happened like 5 years ago? You know? And now you think people are just going to wear a shirt with your name on it? Those times are gone, bud. Like, you gotta give something, and you gotta create a brand that's not you, not your name. Like, no one wants a shirt that says Logan Paul on it. I mean, maybe Maverick, a brand he created, but at the end of the day, like, you have to build your personal brand and then attach that to products or services. You can't just like be yourself and expect people to want to buy you, you know?
Yeah.
You have to have a talent.
Yeah, and I do like the ABCD. I think they tweeted that out there for you, but it's and for us and for the audience. But I think that's a whole big. That's a great, easy system for people to do. Can you just recap that one more time?
Yeah. So, and I'll be a little bit more detailed. So the A is attract, right? And it also attention. So you want to grab someone's attention. So you want to get someone to look at your thing. And usually it's nice to have that in the first few seconds, an attention hook, right? B is brand. You want to make sure your brand and your product are in the video and show how it's used. Like if you're a Tide commercial, you're going to show someone doing laundry. If you're Coke, you're going to show someone drinking the Coke. Logo, Coca-Cola. If you're the iPhone, you're going to show the phone moving and all this stuff, right? So that's just so important. People just don't put their products in videos and show how it's used. It's crazy. And then connect, that whole part with the C about making a connection with people. Like you have to really think through what the purpose of this video is and how you're going to get them to do that. And you got to connect to them on an emotional level to get them to take that action. And that's the D, which is direct, really, but drive traffic, but direct them to an offer. So many times you'll just see, oh, it was a cool commercial. That was like a cool vibe. And again, those videos exist, but they're for brand. Like I have those videos and they just look cool, but there's a reason for that. It's because I wanted someone to watch that video and just feel like they understand the brand and then come in with a direct response ad as knowing that they viewed that video. So that's completely different in saying, I just want to have a brand video. I just want to build my brand, right? A brand video doesn't have to be salesy, connect, doesn't have to do all those things. It just has to build the brand. But if you want to create a viral video that's going to go out to millions of people, it has to have that element of, hey, you got your attention, you understand my brand and product, you've connected with it. Now what do you want them to do? And it's like there's so many videos that just end with no real call to action that it makes it very difficult as an advertiser to then say, hey, let's just run this video ad. And like, you know, say take Matt Ween, for example, who we were talking about earlier, right? So if Holonis were to distribute a viral video through the Holonis network of over 1,000 creators, then they need that video to direct those millions of people to do something. Otherwise, it's just a video that can't be monetized, you know? And it's so at the end of the day, even if you're a comedian and you have a funny video, go tell them to subscribe to your channel so that you can monetize their views later, you know? Yep. And that's for me, it's everything. If you forget one of those elements, it's not worth spending money, you know?
Right.
You know, oh, it's a great video, but it doesn't show the product. Oh, it's a great video, but it doesn't have a call to action. Oh, it's a great video, but I felt nothing. I didn't connect with it. I didn't think. Oh, it was a good video, but it didn't catch my attention. So it's like you got to hit all those if you want to have a direct response marketing campaign.
Period.
Period. Yeah. Like, there's nothing good. And I broke that down over years. I was like, God, what do all these videos that actually work have in common? And I've done product placement where, say, Damon John wore my watch on Shark Tank for 4 seasons. Season 1, 2, 3, and 4, he's wearing a custom flex watch that says Mogul on it. He doesn't mention it. He doesn't say anything. You can see it, but that doesn't matter. It has to literally be connected. It needs to say, hey, go buy this. So when you have the YouTube video with the link in it or something of that nature, really does help with the product placement. But I learned that product integration and storyline integration is what really triggers. So I was like, oh, every single time that I've either been on TV or had a video that did well, it had all those elements. If it was missing one thing, it didn't work. So
yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And I want everybody to realize that, you know, we talked about it's all about who you know, but Travis so many times mentioned, I went to this person and this person. Let people know in your network what you're doing. Can't say it enough.
Can't say it enough, man. It really is so true.
Yeah.
You have to be your cheerleader.
Yeah. So with that being said, let's bring Jackson and Monica on and Travis. It's really, we always learn so much. It's like I either get the great reminders and reinforcement or I always learn something new. And I forgot about the ABCD. So thank you so much for sharing that. But Monica, what'd you get out of today's show?
I mean, first off, your story, I really resonated, especially coming from the fashion industry. I've done it for 12 years. I've done all those trade shows and just, seeing like where you started and where you are now. Very cool. Really appreciate your story. And what you said too about, just being consistent with your story, your voice throughout all your channels. And one question I have for you, what channel do you really invest most of your time in?
I do Instagram and Facebook.
Facebook?
Yeah, Instagram and Facebook. Mainly, obviously, Facebook because of Facebook ads.
Mm-hmm.
I spend the majority of my budgets on that, and majority of my effort is on the paid side, not as much the organic side.
Okay.
Since I understand paid media, I just make sure that that content and that voice is consistent on my brands, but I reach millions of people a week through paid ads.
Makes sense. All right, cool. Thank you.
Jackson, how about you?
Well, I really like the ABCD that he talked about. I feel like that goes hand in hand with our 20-minute a day model that we talk about all the time. And then I also, like that you referenced, being a comedian a lot. I thought that was really cool. You brought that up a couple times, and I was like, awesome. But
because you do see so many comedians and talented people out there doing skits, and those are a lot of the videos that travel. But at the end of the day, it's just mindless entertainment, and people aren't taking it to that next level where it's like, you're funny, but are you getting batch? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was like definitely taking notes, going, I got to talk to my improv team about some things,
Yeah, you got the Second City show coming up. I mean, what's better than filming that and distributing it on Facebook, on
Yeah,
YouTube?
Definitely. I completely agree. Yeah.
Cool stuff. Well, Travis, it's been a delight. Jackson, do we have any winners out there for today?
Yes. Today we have Miriam Rose Khan and Sam Alley.
All right, Sam Alley, and happy belated birthday, Sam. So, Travis, what we do is we empower our entire audience to leave here today and to go share with everyone what they learned from this session and from you. And we want them to take whatever inspired them and take that to the next cup of coffee or the next meeting, or maybe the person sitting next to them, and just share what they learned so that they remember to apply it. And those people that get the coffee gift cards engaged a little bit more than everybody else. And so the key is, you said, connect, and the power is in engaging. So we want to reward them for going out into their world and having a cup of coffee, but also talking about what inspired you about today's show. So Trav, I want to thank you so much. I'll be back out your way in a few weeks, so I'll definitely look you up. And we always learn so much from you. And thanks for your time with us today and sharing. And then when we share this episode out, we'll tag you and we'll continue the conversation.
Yeah, I'll share it out. I appreciate it, guys.
All right. Well, everybody, listen. We'll see you online, and we'll see you in the next show next Wednesday. Same time, same channels. Be there or be square. We'll see you online.
All right. I'll be there as a spectator.
Trav, thank you so much. Tell everybody back home there in San Diego at the Holonis headquarters I said hey. And then also, I forgot, I've got a couple of other shows coming up that I'll introduce you to for speaking as well. So
awesome. Always a pleasure. Thank you, Dean.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you real soon. Take care, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Influence Factory podcast. We welcome feedback and suggestions. You can provide these by visiting our website at www.myinfluencefactory.com. And if you are interested in Social Jack's 90 Days to Influence program, you can simply go to 90daystobusinessinfluence.com and simply ask for the next steps. While our program airs regularly on Zoom webcasts and Facebook Live on Wednesdays at noon Central, we invite you to download episodes on your favorite channel: YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spreaker, SoundCloud, and who knows where else in the future. We will also provide occasional on-location live streams with special guests that we will announce in our community Facebook group, Business Influencer Alliance, as well as on all Social Jack channels. Our mission is to help you build your digital business influence with this podcast, as well as inspire, educate, and entertain those who are hungry to collaborate in a cool place with cool business professionals just like you.